we have blocker against the queen jack, and we have a pretty strong top pair, so I will go for shove on the top left. This might have been the first three bet of this guy, if I don't forgot something. Stream went into offline mode, at least on my view. So at the same time, OBS doesn't show any drop frames, so pretty weird. I'm not sure. Well, now it's working again. I put the 50 euro here. Already have 50 euro on the other screen, but no people so far willing to register into that one. Kind of boring heads up because this guy is like so extremely passive. Well, let's don't bet ourselves or lead. Don't betting is wrong term, I suppose. Okay, if you have better. Oh, they will. The guy hits the guts, he hits the open-ended straight draws. Gets pre-flop set up. Went for c-bet on the bottom right because my hand is anyway going to be a very vulnerable one. So on this board run we can actually think about hero calling. Check raising top left. Okay. L4-5 did complete. He had the air ball, not too surprising. Of course, the nasty side is that even that air ball has some equity against my hand. like with that sort of top middle pairs, like you have the best hand really often, but it's going to be very very vulnerable to almost whole deck. So there is definitely some merit in like thin value gets slash protection bets, but when you face the check raise, it's going to be pretty tough to call, especially when it's pretty sizable check raise. Decided to open on the top left because we are still deep enough that facing 3-bet shoves is going to be pretty rare. Yeah, it seems like the stream actually disconnected completely. The timer was reset. Also. And 3-bet shoving on the top left. If the bottom shoves, it's actually... I think I would go against the bottom 3-bet shove as well, but it would be pretty much the bottom of my range. Well, that's scrappy. Scrappy turn card. Is 8 suited. I think in general it's bit weak to call here against most people. On the top left. Some action please on the top left. That was quick. Then had quite a few outs, but they did toss. Double gutshot on the bottom left. Definitely strong enough, and we are pretty deep stack, so I will raise his min dog bet. Basically only nasty side is if he happens to be making some 3-bet afterward. And yeah, well, it's pretty close, whatever to value bet the river. Let's go for small bet. Oh, he had king. I thought he would play bet the river quite often with it. They tend to make a lot of those min donk bets with some bottom pair, medium pairs on the middle pairs on the flop. And we actually hit the straight on the bottom right. I can't really call middle stack 13 pp, so with the crappy AX. If he min raises on the bottom top left, I will use that hand as 3-bet shove. Well, we have a top pair on the bottom, top right, so I think I go for check raise and shove most turns. Ooh, nasty flop on the top left. Solid c-bet size. Well, on the outer table will then hit with his flush draw into random overcard on the river. And the top right, you can call it here because of the great pot odds, but it's kind of always going to be quite awkward situations because, like, even here, I would have hit the I would have hit the top pair, but the thing is that it's going to still be three-way pot, and we have quite a kicker problem always, so pretty nice looking turn. Definitely raise call spot on the blind versus blind. And he hits the three. Really not my day with the all-ins. Calling Jack 8 offsuit from small blind. Awesome poker. Yeah. Well, let's pocket. Save it. Jesus! Quite a bullshit. King Jack 10, no diamonds, and he hits the straight with the 7-4. Well, nice turn card. Just call again. Well, the river wasn't the greatest because now we actually lose against overpairs. But yeah, no way to fold. Oh well, poker can be sometimes such a bullshit. On the most Most river cards we would have checks out pretty happily. I think I go for Shao on the bottom right. It's pretty borderline though, the 10 big blinds. Totally alive. And won this time. And kind of set up on the bottom left. Stack was so shallow that Seabed stack off was pretty fine line. Well, everyone calling out except big blind. While a free turn and jack on the table would be nice, pretty unlikely. I think I can't really call because I can't really count anything else than jack being out. Two pair wasn't good for the middle lane. not too many interesting spots. Well, now we hit the practical nuts on the top right. Also flop where we should get good amount of action. It's actually not too great turn card for me, so I would actually balance my range here and just check back this one. The good side is that villain can try to bluff something. Yeah, we want to bet quite sizable. If he has that 10x. Other option would be to on the turn to bet on a bit of the smaller side. Oh, he actually had the 9. That's quite something. Last 9x on the deck. Wasn't actually drawing dead, he had the straight flush draw possibility here. And 9-5 is pretty much the bottom of the standard shoving range here. Potting river. My speaking expert. I doubt he's going to pot with weaker than that. Oh, he did. That was a little bit surprising. Against decent opponent, I would check back that king 8, but I think most of these guys will be folding way too much, way too often. And one more flip loose. Lucky here, unlucky from the card distribution side, but the result was nice. Basically, it's draw with flop on the bottom left, but basically small blinds shouldn't have too much stuff on that low board, but of course it's always possible with the player pool here that they can have almost anything. Trips on the bottom right. Thing is that I don't usually check raise that flop as bluff with pretty much anything, so I think I just call with the trips as well. Well, king wasn't really great. I think we can probably go for bet fold. I mean, I think it's quite unlikely that he bluffs here. If I check the river. Well, thanks for the turn. Pretty weird check on the flop, I would say. There is not too much sense in slow playing that sort of hit. At least from theory perspective. And lost the all-in on the bottom right. The main thing, like if you have pocket sixes on the queen 6-5 with the flush draw board, the thing is that you don't really block much of the hands that will continue against c-bet, and you have hand that beats basically anything, everything. So it's pretty clear. Pretty clear bet hand as default. As this spot on the outer table will then check raise on the flop, and now he bets small. Of course, only one pot size bet remaining, but I don't know if he's like it should be pretty rare that he's like overplaying weaker AX. Probably. Non-diamond turn, and I would have stacked off, of course, but let's try to limp with the 7th jack because it's not really that great. That great shoving hand. I think 10-8 is a bit too weak to call, probably. Yeah, this shallow I will usually, against random players, tends to go for pretty close to any two. Not quite any two usually, but pretty wide. Well, now nuts on the top left, if we get any action. Yeah, let's solve this time with value hand. Jesus. Oh well. Quite set up. I think I just go for shove with the pocket sevens. Not really hand I necessarily want to get called. The other table, well, 10 was enough. He actually bet the pot on the flop, so it was kind of awkward spot. But I had also the backdoor straight flush possibility. I mean. Oh, well, probably can't fold the ace-9. He had the fucking overpair. Oh well, that was unlucky. Pretty much the only weaker hand I could have called here against his hand. Well, that's quite something. mosquitoes. One more diamond would have been nice on the top right. Well, luckily won that flip. The top left, if the button folds, we can basically do pretty much anything. But not folding if he happens to shove here. And I will go for limp, so I could also limp call, but I think the stacked up depth is pretty nice for that play as well. And well, setup situation basically. And lost flip on the outer table here. Ace 10 versus pocket fours. Let's try to give some pressure on the mid stack. Okay. Well, won't go for the 4-bet. Okay, let's take 10 euro. 10 euro game. Top size bet. Well, now I actually hope that he would have the 4, but he most likely has some sort of error, maybe 5x sometimes. I think I just check and let him, maybe he hits something or decides to bluff again. Well, most likely he's folding, but let's see. Actually ahead, but lost. No, the 4PP race guy actually folded my 3-bet. Usually they just stick around. I should have made smaller c-bet actually. Well, on the top left, top right, no draw completed from the turn, and there is a lot of those. So I think I tried to bluff catch, but he had it. Great turn card on the bottom left. Okay, well, I have to call against that race as well, because I have so high equity here compared to pot odds. And somehow you just almost always miss those. Of course he's wrapping tin on the top left, but I think it's pretty rare to face bluff anyway in that spot. This seems to be one of those limping always guys. I do quite a lot of limping as well, but not really with when the stack depth is clearly over 20 pp's. The bottom right, 8 is actually kind of crappy card. Yeah. I was planning actually to triple barrel, but I think the 8 is pretty much the worst for that line. Well, crappy flop. Well, if he checks, I will actually try to bluff, because this is pretty much the weakest hand I can possibly have. I think in those sort of boards, it's usually pretty reasonable to just take some of those absolute trash you have and bluff with them, because you don't have too many like relevant blockers or anything. If the 5 of club would have to come on the turn, I would have shoved, but let's value bet the top pair on the top right. And flop the nuts on the top left. right will then use like 2x 3 bets, so calling is pretty much the only option with those pot odds. Yeah, I think he's committed with most of his range on the top left, so I will just shove here. He actually had a lot of outs too. I don't know on the top right that could we have even shoved on the river, but I think it would be pretty thin after he had 3-bet and still bet 3 times, even if it was with smallish sizings. And considering the hand strength, I'm pretty happy with the pot size we had here. But yeah, if he had used bit more sensible 3-bet size, he would have won that pot pre-flop. More equity on the turn, so have to call again. We might also have the best hand. Heart wasn't really good one. But still won. He was barreling with total air on board that hits my range pretty nicely, so not the greatest idea. Especially when he didn't fire the river, which would have been pretty reasonable, considering that he at least had some bit of flush placard here and no real showdown value, so just check him back on the top right and use the hand as we can value bet the river if he checks or call if he bets. Trips wasn't enough, luckily. And we have gotten, I think I shoved the king jack as well. So I also shoved the previous hand, so but this is pretty decent spot and hand. Five, three, triple attack would have been triple 3-bet sub roll, but maybe not. Maybe not. Even though it's almost straight was. So bubble on the bottom right now. I will just go for shove against the mid stack here. It's kind of close that you could use it as small raise hand as well. Well, 6 is good in a way on the top right, that if the villain had some sort of ace-jack or something, we are actually splitting. So backdoor flush draw completed. Pretty much mandatory. Okay, he was way ahead. Way ahead. Oh well, it was kind of close on the flop that do I just fold or... I didn't have any backdoor flush draw or anything like that, so that's the main thing I was considering, but at the same time a high is going to be ahead good amount of time, so I don't know. I think it's probably fine either way. Do we get action with the aces? Not the greatest flop, but definitely with the stack depth we have, it's going to be bet and stack off, but not the greatest turn either. Yeah, basically hoping that we can get to showdown. I don't think I can really value bet. And yeah, he had two pairs. Just shoving and putting the maximum pressure on the mid stack. Have to stack off against the small blind pretty much, even if I'm in race. I'll go for the light raise. Didn't fold. Well, it's not horrible flop by any means. But maybe he hit or had some sort of trap from pre-flop. And on the bottom right, if he's even somewhat aware about the ICM, he should be. No, he actually had the ace. I think it when he open limps, it should be decreasing the AX combos quite a bit. Actually shoved the deuce 3 because the big blind is sitting out, or at least hopefully he's sitting out. You can never be totally sure about that. In this side. And check raising the nuts on the top left. And evaded his outs. 10 outs on the turn. Volk would be nice on the bottom right with the absolute low hand. I'm not that scared about necessarily about the limper guy, but this guy making over 3x3 bet, so I think I just give some credit here. Well, had 5 hands, but 5 cards. No queen at the bottom left. And 3 betting with the 9s and stacking off if needed. And he had like 2 PP on the. Oh well. I think I go for small c-bet and hope basically that I take the pot down. My hand is also somewhat vulnerable against overcards he might have here, so it's pretty weird that he raises on the flop. Like, basically I wouldn't probably raise anything in that spot. But yeah, he might have, of course, the AX, and he just wants to raise, but raising doesn't really make too much sense as overall strategy on that flop. And won that one. Nice setup. Seems like they are actually getting that Final Fantasy 7 new version released next year. Have been coming some YouTube videos referrings on my YouTube account. Well, almost double up, but not quite. Yeah, it seems like summer has killed the action on these games, at least for Tuesday. It seems like the Tuesday is like extra silent one. Maybe I should make the Tuesday as holiday. Let's call from the position with the suited connector. decent flop. Not really great because there is the a high flop, so of course I will have a lot of AX myself. And again, over 10 outs, but well, just checking back here and hoping that he was bluffing with something. Well, I have missed so many strong draws on this session. It's nasty when you get those over 10 out draws, because in a way that you are kind of almost forced to call turns as well. Well, depends of course on the sizing and so on, but like for example, if you have combo draw with 15 outs, so for example flush draw and open-ended straight draw, you have roughly 30, bit over 30% equity even on the turn most of the time. Possibly even more if you have like some top pair draw possibly out. So even against pot size bet, it's basically going to be most of the time the situation that you have to call, especially if there is some stack depth left that you have some implied odds also. Yeah, I think I just go for 3-bet here. He might have some sets. That's pretty much only possibility that beats me. Oh Jesus! Well, that looks so absurdly nutty, but whatever. Maybe I should have folded to that turn 3-bet, because it was like almost certain that he has this set after that. Such stupid sizing. Like if he had shoved, I would have, well, I went all in anyway, but I would have much more happily went all in. Well, maybe I should have read about the win check raise. It's usually nothing more often than some might bluff. Three outer on the bottom left. I think I just shove the top right. It's 240 on the pot, so pretty decent risk reward. And open-ended straight draw. Bottom left. Oh well, it seems like there is absolutely no action at this point, so I think I quit this session. doesn't make too much sense to play some €10 games only. Well, currently I am €80 in minus side, so not counting any of these buy-ins. So would require quite basically winning from 2 and second place from 1 to get around break even. Oh Jesus, nice misclick. Well, the flop is actually pretty decent. And turn is even more decent. Nice misclick. Well, maybe the end result would have been same anyway, but you can also limp with the king jack, but it's kind of spot that I don't really like to be. Whatever I do, I don't really want to be folding pre-flop. So raising small and folding against shove would be the last option. Just trying to check the showdown with the king high. And on the bottom right we can definitely go for value bet. I think in general it's going to be probably more likely that he goes with a high than he would bluff if I check. Let's hope there is no raise coming. So sometimes they bluff with the a high as well in those spots, but probably not on that board. There was 2 pairs anyway, so probably even the physio players understands that a high is pretty solid check back if I check. And check calling on the bottom left. It's pretty decent line overall because we have some showdown value, and that way we have also some flush draws in our check calling range. Yeah, I think I just bet here, and he might even raise if he has the 8x. And yeah, on the top right he has often check, but price was like 1 to 5 or something. Yeah, I think I changed the Tuesday streaming day to something else for the weekly stream, because this Tuesday has been so often really silent. like for example yesterday I was I think 5 to 6 days playing 25 euro games at this point of evening, so and now there's like no 25 euro game is one game with 4 people, so I could start one, but I think it's kind of waste of time with this low volume. Oh well, if I had any heart, I would definitely barrel. Or even some sort of cut shot. And it's going to be fold if he bets. But he can definitely have some flushes, some AX, of course some 2 pairs. Well, let's just min raise. This Mr. Smoke hasn't been 3-betting so far. Hopefully he's not starting now, because this stack situation is such that I can't really be raise calling with the pocket 8 profitably. That is. Let's bet small and try to get 10x to call, but unfortunately he hit the 2 pairs. Well, I think this was around 2-hour hit over session. Well, heads up on the top right. And now he instantly 3-bet shoves. And shoves again. Oh well, this might be one of these shove guys on the heads up. It's quite interesting, like he has been, I think, pretty passive short earlier, but is he shoving now again? Not this time. Yeah, I shouldn't really be min raising, because at least min raise folding. It's quite unlikely that we just got big hands. Of course it's possible, but let's try limping. No shove this time. Well, let's go with the c-bet. Yeah, I don't love the situation on bottom left, but I think it's a bit too strong to be folded. Oof. Ah! So dirty. So dirty. First giving me the full house and then for the villain. Oh well. If I knew that my flush draw is alive, then I can call. But I don't really know about that, so think I have to fold still. It's annoying when you face these shove guys and then you just keep missing everything or not getting reasonable hands. Well, now we actually have trips. Not the greatest calling hand, but I've probably maybe called against shove as well. It's quite interesting that he doesn't seem to raise much against the linking. But at least on the beginning it was like every time I'm in raised he shoved. Well, let's try with this one. No shove this time. Well, the queen then would be pretty much checking hand and trying to get into showdown. How about one single hand that I can actually call? Well, this is pretty marginal one. Marginal one to be calling, but well, tiny bit better and I would have called. Maybe I should have called that one as well. Now he doesn't, so of course. Of course. Made flush with the dominated hand. Thank you, thank you. Okay, not on the profit from this session, not huge haul either, so. Well, and I go for shove and he instantly has the dominating strong hand. Oh well, card distribution at its best. Well, 63 euros minus. But anyway, I will probably change the day or something. Well, now there is actually two 25 euro games running, but I won't start session again at this point. But yeah, let's see if I change the day. But bye for now.